Ted Bundy, born on November 24, 1946, in Burlington, Vermont, was raised by his grandparents, who presented themselves as his parents. His mother, Eleanor Louise Cowell, was known to him as his sister for much of his childhood. This unusual family dynamic may have contributed to the complexities in Bundy's personality. In the early 1950s, he and his mother moved to Tacoma, Washington, where she married Johnny Bundy. The young Ted took on his stepfather's surname, cementing his new identity as Ted Bundy. Bundy's early life appeared ordinary, but he exhibited troubling behaviors from a young age, reportedly displaying an unusual fascination with knives and a growing detachment from those around him. Despite these signs, his public persona was that of an intelligent and polite young man, a facade that would later enable him to lure his victims with ease. A charismatic student and political activist, in the early 1970s, Bundy enrolled in the University of Washington, where he studied psychology. His professors and peers saw him as ambitious and charming, and he was well-liked in social circles. His charismatic nature extended into his brief involvement in local Republican politics, where he appeared to be a young man on the path to success. His work as a campaign aide for the re-election of Washington Governor Daniel J. Evans gained him respect, giving him access to influential figures in politics. Yet, even as he built a respectable image, Bundy's darker inclinations were taking shape. His intelligence and ability to manipulate situations and people proved critical in allowing him to balance his double life as both a well-regarded citizen and a cold-blooded killer. The shift into violence. In 1974, Bundy's violent tendencies fully emerged. The exact number of Bundy's victims remains uncertain, but it is believed that he began his spree in Washington, targeting young women who resembled his former girlfriend, Stephanie Brooks, a relationship that deeply impacted him. His victims were typically college-aged women with long brown hair parted in the middle, a haunting detail that illustrated how calculated his choice of victims was. Bundy would lure women by feigning an injury or pretending to be an authority figure, such as a police officer, to gain their trust. His victims often helped him without hesitation, swayed by his charm and apparent helplessness. Once they were isolated, Bundy's friendly demeanor disappeared, revealing his predatory intent. Escalation of violence and a cross-country killing spree. Bundy's killing spree was not confined to Washington. As police started to investigate missing persons cases with no solid leads, Bundy moved from state to state, targeting women across Colorado, Utah, and Idaho. His modus operandi remained the same, allowing him to maintain anonymity and evade capture. During this time, Bundy became increasingly bold, even abducting women in broad daylight. Despite the increasing evidence of a serial killer on the loose, Bundy's intelligence and strategic thinking allowed him to stay one step ahead of law enforcement. He changed his appearance frequently, altering his hair, facial hair, and wardrobe to avoid recognition. The first arrest and shocking escapes. Bundy was first arrested in 1975 when police found a ski mask, handcuffs, and a crowbar in his car. Items they suspected were used in his attacks. Initially, he was arrested for possession of burglary tools, but later evidence linked him to the disappearances in Utah and Colorado. During his trial, Bundy opted to represent himself, relishing the chance to maintain control and impress onlookers with his intelligence. However, Bundy's legal troubles were only the beginning. In a dramatic turn of events, Bundy escaped from custody not once, but twice. In June 1977, he jumped from a courthouse window and went on the run for several days before being recaptured. Later that year, he made an audacious escape from jail, fleeing to Florida and committing additional murders, including the brutal attack on several young women at the Chi Omega sorority house at Florida State University. The Florida murders and public outrage. After escaping to Florida, Bundy's violent spree continued. On January 15, 1978, he entered the Chi Omega sorority house at Florida State University and brutally attacked 4 women, killing 2 of them. This attack was one of the most vicious, shocking the public and highlighting the terrifying extent of his capability for violence. Florida authorities, by now aware of Bundy's identity, launched an intense manhunt that eventually led to his capture. He was found driving a stolen car with evidence linking him to the recent murders. The brutality of the Chi Omega attack and Bundy's ability to evade capture for so long left a lasting impact on the American public. The charismatic defendant, Bundy's trial for the Florida murders became a media sensation. Choosing to represent himself again, Bundy played to the cameras, often smiling and making quips that belied the seriousness of his crimes. His charm, however, did little to sway the outcome. The jury found him guilty, and Bundy was sentenced to death in 1979. During his trial, Bundy even proposed to a former girlfriend, Carol Ann Boone, who accepted, seemingly convinced of his innocence despite mounting evidence. Bundy's ability to deceive others, even as he faced death sentences, underscored the depths of his manipulation and deceit. If you want to support us in our channel, check out our merch in the first link in the description. It will help us to produce more content for you. Enjoy the further video. Visit AmericaFirstMerch.com. Behind bars. Once on death row, Bundy eventually began to confess to his crimes. Although he was never entirely transparent, he admitted to over 30 murders, but experts believe the true number could be significantly higher. His confessions revealed a chilling pattern. Bundy would often return to the bodies of his victims, a disturbing detail that hinted at his deep-seated psychopathy and lack of remorse. Even in prison, Bundy maintained his manipulative demeanor, granting interviews and appearing calm and collected. In these moments, he shifted between denial and confession, giving conflicting statements that kept the public and even some law enforcement unsure about the true extent of his crimes. A legacy of fear and the psychology of deception. Ted Bundy's case has left a lasting impact on society, influencing both criminology and popular culture. His ability to project a charming, trustworthy image while committing heinous crimes has fascinated psychologists, criminologists, and the public alike. Many have tried to understand how someone who appeared so outwardly normal could harbor such evil intentions. Bundy's case also highlighted the challenges law enforcement faces in identifying serial killers. His calculated manipulation of social norms, charm, wit, and good looks allowed him to evade suspicion for years. This profile has since become a case study in understanding the psychological traits of other notorious serial killers. Ted Bundy was executed on January 24, 1989, in the electric chair at Florida State Prison. Crowds gathered outside the prison, celebrating the death of a man who had instilled fear in communities across the country. His execution marked the end of a dark chapter, but the public fascination with Bundy endures. The media coverage, books, and movies inspired by his life have contributed to his status as one of the most infamous serial killers in history. Despite his death, Bundy's story serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of deception and the allure of charm. His case underscores that monsters can hide in plain sight, disguised by charisma and an outwardly normal demeanor. In the end, Bundy's legacy is one of caution, reminding society that evil can sometimes wear a friendly face. Ted Bundy's life and crimes continue to captivate and horrify. His ability to deceive those around him, hiding his monstrous intentions behind a mask of charm, speaks to the dark possibilities of human nature. Bundy's case has left an indelible mark on how society perceives and understands serial killers, serving as a grim reminder that the true nature of a person may not always be as it seems. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe to our channel for more content. Thank you.